Hello viewers and welcome to Daily Politics. On this program we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram and watch us live on YouTube. I still have in the studio Jaime Sajo, former Commissioner for Information in Adamawa State and the chieftain of the All Progressive Congress. Welcome back.
Thank
yes,
you.
Before we went on break, I sought your opinion on the unceremonious exit, but your response was really punchy of sort when you said that why they waited this long. How do you mean? How do you mean?
Exactly. You see, this is a democracy. The beauty of democracy is that it provides choices, it provides preferences. But when you are leading a group within a democratic setup, your preferences and choices are narrow.
They are narrow.
They are narrow. When you make me chairman of a political party, every member of the political party is my own. I will bow to the superior position of the membership, because that is where the reservoir of my legitimacy comes from.
Okay, the membership of the party.
Membership of the party. So what the membership said they like is what I should like. Not, I don't have preferences as the leader. Now, the crisis with His Excellency Senator Abdullah started from the moment he said he had a preferred candidate, he had a preferred person for...
Or rather the NWC, as he claimed that time.
Well, we heard it from him.
Okay.
You know,
as members of the party.
as the members of the party. That they had a preference of who should fly the flag of the party during the 2023 election. That was a most unfortunate statement from a leadership of a party.
How do you mean, Ahmed? Because
as far as the party is concerned,
yes,
they are supposed to lay a level playing field for whoever wants to match.
Okay, ahead of the primary elections.
Exactly. That's their job. The job is to create a level playing field for everybody. To say they have a preference, that was actually, the beginning of all this crisis. And then to make matters worse for them, that preference did not scale through.
That should be Ahmed Lawal, the then Senate President.
Exactly. So, you see, from that point onward, the rational thing to do is that whatever actions they take in respect of the person that became the candidate against their preference, whatever action they take, good or bad, will be assumed to be read from the perspective of the fact that Bosogwe Bayamuba.
Wow, they didn't support us.
They didn't support us. So that was the beginning. But again, as the system was moving, one of them, a very top member of the NWC, the National Vice Chairman Northwest.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Northwest is the bastion of the APC, whether one likes
because
it
of his numerical strength.
Numerical strength, and it's an allied support to the APC. Without the Northwest, the APC would not clinch the leadership of this country in an election.
Wow.
When the Vice Chairman Northwest raised very weighty allegations against the chairman and the secretary, it behoves them at that point in time to actually look clear themselves of those allegations.
To come out openly and say what he said is not true.
It's not true.
Or to present superior arguments.
These are the facts on table.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do that. Then the allegations began to multiply to a point where they said, well, they didn't even use the resources available to support the candidature of the person that eventually became the president.
Which was the latest, I think, salvo from Salu Lukuma last week.
That became another...
When Omisore and others, I think, accused him of being the, ship in the...
Instead of them to look for a solution to the lingering crisis within the party.
Yes.
They even threatened or went to court. When the constitution of the party said any member that does not exhaust internal mechanisms and goes to court should be expelled from the party.
But I think it was Sadu Lukman who first went to court. Don't you think he overshoot the runway?
Because they wanted to take action against him without investigating the allegations he raised. Put the allegations he raised on table. There was a claim that the accounts of the party were audited. But the constitution of the party said the NWC, the NWC acting on behalf of NEC will be the ones to appoint internal auditors. It's not the chairman and secretary. You see,
there shouldn't be the jury in their own.
No, not even about being jury, judge, and jury. But the constitution is very clear. You cannot. There are democratic instruments put in the constitution to forestall a dictatorship. And a political party should be the last point where there would be any inkling of a dictatorship.
But why do you think Senator Abdullah Adamu took this long? I know while growing up,
also
in the 80s, you know, he was first secretary of MPN in all Benue Plateau. He rose to become the chairman of the party. He became governor. He became senator. Now, until yesterday, national chairman of the party. Don't you think he has his facts? And maybe he wanted to achieve something. That was why he stayed foot on that.
What does he want to achieve? When the National Assembly leadership was being coupled, his position was at variance with the mainstream of the party.
Yeah, starting from the position of the...
As represented by the executive in this case.
Yeah.
May not be a cut and dry democratic decision, but that the fact that there were certain reasons for him to disagree with that meant that as the leader of the party, he
lost legitimacy?
He's losing grip of the leadership that gives him the legitimacy. Now, after that, the National Assembly caucuses came up with their principal officers.
Yes.
And he said he doesn't agree with the principal
This was after, as you rightly said, he wasn't even in tandem with the party, with the executive choice of Akpabio, Tajuddin for the leadership.
Exactly. So with all of these things, it should have been very clear to him that
the game is over.
The game is over. I cannot continue to lead a group that does not hold the kind of views that I hold. Because leadership means that you provide a direction. But if the followership believes that the direction you are leading them is not the correct direction, democracy demands that you acquiesce to the position of the majority.
Don't you think it was a matter of principle that he insisted on voicing out some of these things? Number one, that, of course, ahead of election, every other person has his own choice. And probably he felt Ahmed Lawal was his choice. And then the so-called cabal in the villa were with him. During the selection of the male leadership of the National Assembly, he felt that the executive wanted to lord it over the political party. And going by his age, 76 now, someone who had seen the part of the First Republic, who was part and parcel of the Second Republic, he wanted to assert his powers as national chairman of the party.
For your information, the political class in this country had surrendered those powers. Those powers existed in the Second Republic. They no longer exist today.
Oh my God.
The very day the political class in the different political parties agreed that the son should be bigger than the father. That was the last point.
But is it the ideal?
It may not be the ideal, but it's in the constitution. It started with PDP, now we have it in APC.
When Obasanjo actually desecrated, to say that, he was the one who brought the concept of national leader.
We said the president is the national leader of the party. The governor is the state leader of the party. We've already destroyed
party supremacy.
Party supremacy. So if I am elected as the national chairman and I swore with the constitution of the party, and that constitution says the president of the country is the leader of my party, it's incumbent on me to accept the position of my national leader.
So don't you think Abdullah Adamu was in tandem with that personal principle and the principle that actually superseded before 1999?
There was no principle in it. It's part of the political class that coupled up the political system that we are operating today. There's no principle in it. The only principle he has violated, if there's any principle, is the principle of fairness as a leader. And I tell you, a leader's responsibility is to provide a level playing field. A leader does not, a political party leader does not have a preference among his members in the contest for positions.
And why do you think he refused to go before yesterday? Maybe is it that there are some forces with him, maybe within and without the party?
No, I think probably. I cannot hold brief for him. But what I believe is that somehow Abdullah Adamu may have, and Omishore may have believed that they could navigate the crisis and arrive at an understanding. But they have almost navigated the crisis. But as they navigated the minefields within the
more landmines,
they themselves plant new ones for themselves.
As how?
Exactly. You have not settled the fact that you had a preferred preference during the nomination of candidates. You went ahead. You now began to say again that you have preferred candidates for National Assembly leadership. You have preferred candidates for principal officer. They are the ones that are planting the minefields for themselves.
Oh my God!
And they are accusing you of misapplying resources. You are not coming out to say, look,
I'm clean.
This is the resources that we got from so date to so date. This is how much that came to the coffers. This is what we have used it for. These are the bills. These are the receipts. These are the, if there are auditors that have audited, this is the audit statement.
Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. I still have via Zoom Dr. Sani Dao, the gubernatorial candidate of Action Democratic Party, ADP, in Plateau State during the last election. And he's from Mangu, local government area of Plateau State, which is actually the hotbed of crisis at the moment. Doctor, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Hamza, for welcoming me back. I wouldn't want to say it's the hotbed of crisis, but maybe some security breaches.
All right, I hope we get there. You contested for the governorship election, as I said, and I know at the time we had an interview where you said peace and security paramount to sustainability of development in Plateau State. Assuming you won, what will you have done differently from what is happening now?
Well, if I go back to what we promised the people of Plateau State, if we're given the opportunity to provide leadership in terms of security, which we said it's very, very fundamental as part of our vision. And I will repeat it again. I said we would want to build a united, secure, peaceful, and prosperous Plateau. This remains our vision right throughout our campaigns, and everywhere we go, this is what we preach. Yeah. And this is what we stand for and will continue to stand for. Now, in terms of provision of peace, we had told people that if we are given opportunity to provide leadership, we would review the security architecture of the state. And I will tell you, one of the ways we can best achieve this is to work ahead and proactively in terms of introducing community policing. We would revive also, like I said, about it. Even though there were some misadventures in terms of Operation Rainbow.
Yeah.
Are you hearing me?
We can hear you. Yes, we're with you.
Okay. Even though there were some misadventures in terms of the implementation of Operation Rainbow hitherto, this is one area that we would integrate all the key security operators and actors in terms of provision of security. Here we are talking about the traditional rulers, the vigilantes, the hunters, the regular security agencies of governments, the army, the police, the civil defense, and all, even the Air Force now in Plateau State, because we have a base in Kerang, you know. So we will bring them together.
Yeah.
And presently, I don't know whether that has been done in the state, because I think the State Security Council still remain what it is, because I saw from the clip of the meeting that was convened sometimes during the crisis. I don't know whether the key players are still the same people, or that has changed. Because for me, that is where to really start from. You understand?
Yeah.
The State Security Council. That's where we are talking about the state architecture, the security architecture. Now, we had also talked about establishing security and peace committees. Right from state, we have the state, we're going to have and reorganize that of the local government, and that will go down to the wards and to the villages and communities. And there's no way you can have security. Look, it's the people themselves that will agree they want to live together and peacefully. You cannot force security on people. So it is really the people, because even if you do that and you walk away, I mean, violence or crisis might break out again. But if the people dialogue and they come together, and you have to think of other agencies that you are going to bring in. For example, the Plateau Peace Building Agency will play a very key role in this, because you are talking about managing conflicts and peace building. There's no way you can do that without, you have the State Emergency Management Agency also.
Yeah.
Which will play a key role. And so for me, I don't see how effectively, because I understand that even there's an attempt to change, is it a peace mediation agency or whatever? For me, I don't know how significant or how important that is be, but we've had that. I don't know how far whether it has actually got to the level of the legislature. Yeah.
Okay,
so
but doctor, there is
these
this
are areas, and then if you are talking about peace also, you cannot leave the youths, the women groups, the ethno-religious associations within the community. You cannot leave them out of ensuring and sustaining peace in the state.
Okay,
you must bring all of them
doctor, can you hear
into all the security architecture.
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, there is this snag to the security situation, especially when it comes to community policing. Remember that on Wednesday, I think July 12th, the military, brought down 3 people that they describe as bandits, and in one of those people, they got an ID card of constabulary, that meaning community people that were recruited by the police as volunteers, and they described them as bandits, and many other people attested to that, even though different set of people said that these were their members and all that they were illegally killed by the military. And that is why people are scared about this concept of community policing. How sure are you that if you bring in community policing, those recruited will not be ethnic warriors?
The recruitment process itself must be very, very thorough. And you must decide the category, the caliber, and the type of people you want to recruit into these agencies. Because if you do not thoroughly scrutinize them before you engage them, you might risk bringing in your real criminals into the whole situation, and that will mess up the whole thing. So there must be a lot of vetting. There must be a lot of verifications, before you bring in people on board. So for me, I don't know how they went about doing all this selection. So that is where it actually starts from. And that's the only way you can have a very good team with people that are credible, that are really impeccable character, and bring them on board.
Do you think the deployment?
That is really where it starts.
Do you think the deployment of military will solve the problem? Because I read it severally. Some of the natives saying,
sorry?
I said, do you think the deployment of military around Mangu and environs will bring an end to what is happening? Because some locals there are saying they don't want military. The military should go. They should allow police and vigilante to quell this crisis. While government, especially at the center here, Abuja, says that military should take charge, going by the orders of President Tinubu. What is the middle ground in this?
Yes, in a crisis like this, you will always have divergent actors are standing from.
Yeah.
So there are those that will tell you that they don't even want the military to come into the crisis. Then there are those that will tell you that there's no way you can restore peace. You must bring in the military. And you see, why we are getting to apparatuses of government, and that is why we get to this stage.
Yes.
Where we are pushed to these divergent views. Otherwise, what is the point of having the state security then? If we say should go away, when you have the police and we say they should go away. So if we push the security enforcement agencies away, then we are going to have anarchy.
Exactly.
And complete breakdown of law and order. Yeah. And it's going to be a jungle life. The powerful and the strong will feast on the weak and the vulnerable. And then I'm sure the society, nobody can even imagine. So I think those people who say that really understand what it means about security and its implications. So you must strike a middle of the ground. And I tell you that if not because of failure of all these apparatuses, because there's always an early warning. Let me tell you, this crisis did not in the Mangu issue that reared its ugly head. It was sometimes in November, I think last year, 2020, in Kombun district.
Yeah.
That was the early warning. And nothing was done significantly. And the thing continued and then started spreading until, it engulfed and become a demon that, it was almost a monster to everybody. So Operation Rainbow, originally the concept was to provide early warning. That when you see all these early warnings, you move immediately and quickly and arrest the situation. But like I told you, because of the failure of our practices, of the structure and at different levels, that is why we got to where we are. So it's very important to take note of this and work very well on this. So the idea of saying that you don't need the police and all this, I think we have to really, really understand what security is all about.
There is this allegation that Governor Moftwang spends most of his time in Abuja rather than at the Rayfield Government House in Jos. He's most of the time in Abuja. Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Still having the studio, Professor Usman Yusuf. He's a professor of hematology, oncology, and bone marrow transplantation. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me.
In your article, of course, you mention many measures that did not work over the last 8 years. And I'm beginning to be scared if what we've started seeing now is anything to go by. For instance, the new Chief of Army Staff said that amnesty is not the option. right? So I want you to put this together. Previously, this issue of amnesty, you mentioned it. Even the former Chief of Defense Staff, I think, to some extent, going by the role you played in the committee, he put together that rescued the Kaduna train passengers. Now, can you shed more light on why some of those initiatives failed to work in the last 8 years? And a word of caution for those that are in power now.
Right. And this government has a lot of experience to learn from the past 8 years.
Okay.
This is what real government will do. Look at what worked, what didn't work.
Yes.
And there are catalogs of things that did not work.
Mention them.
First of all, let's look at this failed Naira redesign.
It did not work.
They said, well, one of the things is to prevent bandits.
But hasn't it?
It hasn't. Some of the bandits were asking for USD.
Meaning they have
Dollars.
a way of collecting the...
Of course, anyway, so it didn't work, right? And we talked about border closure. It closed the border for how many months? It did not stem. One of the reasons they said it to stem the inflow of arms. It hasn't done that.
Thank God, President Tinubu says that he's going to open the borders, and he shelved the Naira redesign.
Right.
I think maybe till December.
So all these things, all these things do not need just, oh, let's do this because it didn't work. You need to find out why it did not work.
Even though they were meant to be positive.
Yeah.
Maybe
whatever. So there was a catalog of things, and you have in some places where the military goes and kill people, and it didn't work.
I once asked you this question here. Former Governor El-Rufai said that the way out is to shell the bushes. And he's very strong, or likely to be very strong in this government. Mm-hmm. Will you advise Tinubu to go that way? Or you are saying Tinubu should consider this issue of amnesty?
So please don't bring that bad. It's a nightmare of a governor saying go and burn and kill every living person there. And you are a governor, extrajudicial. You go and bomb the forest and kill every living thing there, from the ants to the innocent people.
It is believed in their estimation that most of those living there are either the bandits or collaborators.
And that's not true.
Okay.
That is false.
Is it you discovered this because you visited the places?
Look, I have been to places where that governor has not visited. We have engaged people where that governor has not engaged. So we are not, I don't want to talk about personalities. We are talking the policies that did not work, and policies that will never work, and policies that we will oppose. Extrajudicial killing, by whatever name it comes, is not going to be acceptable. No. Collective punishment is not going to be acceptable. Profiling by any measure is not going to be acceptable. I have said it again and again and again, banditry is a social problem, it's not a military problem. There's a definite role for the military, but there's not going to be a military solution to banditry, because conflicts like this, in the history of warfare, they've never been won on the battlefield. The role of the military is to provide an enabling environment for dialogue to happen. Dialogue is a legitimate form of warfare. Sit down and talk with people, and we saw that. We spent 6 months of our life dialoguing with Boko Haram bandits to get everybody out in the state, in Kaduna State. We got everybody out. Then the military go and do whatever you're trained to do. So dialogue is legitimate.
You said Boko Haram bandit, and I know it's not by mistake.
No,
Boko Haram bandit. What is the nexus? Tell us about the alliance.
Good. You see, all the times we were going into this forest, Shagumi will tell me, Usman, we need to get to these bandits before Boko Haram gets to them and poison them with their toxic.
But it appears they have gotten there now.
So we are where we are. I mean, the March 28th train hijack was not by bandits. Was by Boko Haram. And clearly they made inroads.
But the bandits, I mean, shot the way.
No, so you can, this is their territory, of course. They is their territory. The terrain, Boko Haram are just city folks in the forest. But bandits, the forest is their domain. That's where they live. We don't want this to happen. That's why we've been trying to pry them out. They are Boko Haram, from the heat that the military is giving them in the northeast, they've migrated to the northwest and the north central. Bindungwari, Regina, you have Niger, and you have places in Zamfara and so eastern Sokoto, everywhere. They are there. So it is dangerous, a lethal combination that we have been warning about all this time. And the government.
Yeah.
Political leadership from the state to the federal government need to listen and involve everybody, especially traditional rulers, elders, clerics, and everybody. Banditry is not a social problem, cannot be solved by soldiers alone. Soldiers are an important, integral part of this. And we saw that. Without the military, we could not have gone anywhere we went to over the 6 months. So
this was that Chief of Defense Staff Action Committee.
Absolutely. And we worked with everybody. We worked with DSS, we worked with the military.
I interviewed Sheikh Gumi about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He also mentioned this group, I mean, the Chief of Defense Staff, even though he wasn't really fully part of it for some obvious reasons. I think we asked him such questions and he answered them. But if you notice, especially on this program, in the last 3 weeks, deliberately we've been discussing about the insecurity, especially in North Central and Northwest. And we just want to set an agenda for the new government, because we believe it's not just about politics. This program is about politics, policy, and governance, and we don't want the new administration to be caught unawares. That is why we've been hammering, asking questions, bringing people who have seen what happened before and can set agenda for the new administration. Now, are you advising that that template set by the former Chief of Defense Staff should be sustained by the Tinubu administration?
No, all that showed is that there is, if we work together, military kinetic and the non-kinetic in whatever form.
Okay.
Is it the religious leaders? Is it the traditional rulers? Is it local leaders? But there is no way the military alone can win this war. There is no way the non-kinetic will win this war. And all over the world, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, American military has been combining this. And we saw the success of the CDSAC and bringing this hostages out. We must combine both. There is a role for all. Kinetic is only about 10%. 90% of it is non-kinetic. Go and find out what the problem is. Wow. If you sort out the social, and all the problems are local. The problems in Mangu are different from the problems in Southern Kaduna, different from the ones in Bindungwari, different from the one in Zamfara or Katsina.
Yeah.
The military, I've said it again and again, and let me repeat it. There are pockets of civil wars going around the north, all over the north.
Civil war?
Absolutely. Between ethnicities.
Lack of trust?
No, killing between ethnicities.
Yeah.
Fulanis and Mangus,
yes.
Magavu, Fulanis and Hausas, Fulanis and thieves and Benue, Fulanis and...
Why are the Fulanis part and parcel of all this?
But let me finish. So, hundreds are dying in all the pockets. Each of Ensake, they're armed. The Fulanis come and attack, Ensake kill. So when the military comes, who are they going to kill? Who are they going to kill?
Maybe both.
Is that their responsibility? What they have done in Mangu, they did not go and kill people. When they were called in, what they did was to go and bring peace, right?
Yes.
But it's not for the military to sustain peace. All they've done is to go and...
quell tension.
Absolutely. But they've not brought peace.
But the people,
and the military,
yesterday we brought someone from Mangu.
Good.
And he said a lot.
Good,
but our fear is the locals now, they are saying that the military should be moved out of that.
Okay, good. So what I'm saying is that the military goes in there, rightly so, to quell the situation. But that's not peace.
It's not peace.
And the military is not the one, that's not its job to bring peace. So it's for everybody, stakeholders. The military has brought an enabling environment for dialogue to happen.
And there's,
dialogue to happen.
Political actors should now set
Political,
in. Traditional
everybody.
rulers.
Look, there can never be peace in any place if people don't want to have peace. Military cannot bring peace. This thing was a mess started by politicians, and the military is just brought in to clean the mess all over the country. So the military needs to be very careful and very strategic.
Yeah.
You go and who do you kill? The bandits or this or that? You don't even understand this fight. You go and the warring factions, people must settle down. The gentleman you brought yesterday, and I was watching him, Dr. Sani,
yes,
from Mangu. When I was watching him, and he gave me hope.
Wow, from what he said.
Absolutely. That there are people, elders in these volatile areas that are worried, that want to find solutions. When tensions are high, everybody say, go kill this, go kill this.
Do we have similar traction in Northwest?
Good. So that is why I'm telling you, what really worries me more than everything is there is this saying, if the state has failed, where are the statesmen?
Yeah.
Where are the statesmen? Let me give you an example. President Muhammadu Buhari, he is now retired from being a president. It's a Katsina elder.
Yeah.
If today he calls Sheikh Gumi and myself and say, I'm going to Batsari, or I'm going to Jibia, or I'm going to see bandits, to meet elders and everything,
you will leave?
I want you to come.
Yeah. You will go?
We'll drop everything and go.
I thought you are so angry with him that you don't want to have anything to do with him.
It's not personal.
Okay.
It's not personal. How can it be personal? This is our people, this is our land. I am saying he's an elder in Katsina. He can go to anywhere in Katsina where they are shooting, killing. Nobody will do that. Things will quell down. So the presence of, I am saying this because I'm pricking the conscience of our leaders past, especially our military leaders.
Okay.
Our military leaders that in their 20s, when we were still in primary school, put on the uniform of this country, fought to stitch this country together. And in their retirement, in their twilight years, this country is being torn apart by
reversing all the gains they recorded.
By criminals all over the country. Silence is not theirs.
It's not golden.
Silence should not be theirs. I mean, you talk about, we still have these old warriors, our leaders that we still respect, still alive, living in places.
They should come out and speak.
Absolutely.
Now, there is this report that President Tinubu's government is planning to release his plan, or the government plan for the Northwest. Do you think they will have something concrete? I've seen some quotations from you saying any solution without you.
So it's what I'm saying is Mahatma Gandhi that said it. Anything you do for me, without me, is against me.
Even if it is positive.
Yeah, how would you know? What I'm saying, President Muhammadu Buhari would never have brought a plan and say, guys, this is your plan in the Southwest. I know your problem. Or Southeast, this is without consulting people.
Okay.
So, without consultation, and I've said it, big plans from Abuja without consulting people locally has never worked and will not work.
Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. I still have in the studio Musa Mohammed Soken, who is the National President, APC Initiative for Good Governance, and Deputy President North, all APC support groups. And we also have Musata Rashewata, exactly. He's the convener, Tinubu Shetima School to School Initiative. And all of you, members of the Presidential Campaign Committee. You heard what he said. It would be bad to replace an acting chairman with another acting chairman. Is that correct?
I think the most ideal thing for our party to do now is that there should be immediate conveyance of a Congress, to elect substantive positions, because at the end of the day, let's not end up with a situation of an acting position becoming like
norm.
a permanent position. So I think there's a need for us to put our house in order. The development is good. It's a step in the right direction. It's an opportunity for us to key into form a formidable party platform that will be in line with the vision of the leadership of the country to provide stability for the party and the country at large.
But there are some people who are alleging that this plan to give Ganduje the chairmanship of the APC is actually to take him off the, initial plan to make him minister, and in his place maybe to have Konkoso of NNPP from Kano, and maybe another person as a minister of state in the government. Do you think this will be fair to him?
Now when you look at the people that has been from day one following Asiwaju, supporting Asiwaju, that key into the vision of Asiwaju at the very early stage, the names like Ganduje and Malam Nuhu Ribadu, Kashim Shettima,
prominent.
These are people that are very prominently very close to Asiwaju, and for the first time in the history of the country, we don't have information flying around again. You see, most of the things we are hearing from the media
and the grapevine,
most of them are speculations.
But we have always got it wrong. I mean, right in Daily Trust. If others got it wrong, always got it right.
Yeah, because
I have a feeling that the story we had today will come to pass.
You guys are veterans, and you know how to get your information. But then, what I'm saying in essence is that we have this synergy, this uniformity, and this team within the core leadership of the party now that will provide stability for the party.
Okay, so do you agree that the plan is to actually move Ganduje away from being part of the government, the executive?
When you are saying that, it's like you are trying to belittle the position of the national party.
The national chairman.
National
it's
chairman.
It's not me, honestly. Yeah, but this is what is flying.
If you're looking at it as if it's to push it away, somebody who is in the central activities of the party, and you are thinking that is to push it away?
They are thinking. It's not me. They are thinking, yeah.
So I think this is very, very central, and it's very, very important. And it's a very, very sensitive position.
To be the chairman of the party.
To be the chairman of a party. It means every member, including the president himself, in as much as he's the member of the party, in the party, circumference and hierarchy, you are there before him.
Yeah.
So this is a very key position, and I think this is rather uplifting his standard in the political arena.
Yes, in an ideal situation, this is how it should look like.
Yeah, definitely.
Because national chairman of the party all over the world. It's a man of big stature. But what we had is that it's like a trap to now, maybe by the time they announce ministers and he's acting, by the time they go for the mini convention, there will be other contenders. They'll say, okay, let's go for election. And if he loses out, nobody will accuse Tinubu of not appointing him as minister, and he has given him room to be the national chairman, but he could not make it.
Well, dynamism of politics allows that, because everything changes with the changing time. So if even if he's a minister, at the point in time,
he will be removed.
Things can be, unfold where to his either advantage or his disadvantage. So that one is a normal thing in politics.
Okay. You have something?
Okay, like what I'll add there is this. When you see what happened at the National Assembly, the election of the leadership of the National Assembly.
Yes.
Eventually, from the onset, there was speculation there's going to be crisis and all that. Eventually,
especially when Kyari insisted on vying for the...
everything eventually, that should be an indication for us that, we've gotten the National Assembly right. We've gotten the presidency right. And by the special grace of God, we're going to guide the party right. And from the early indicators are showing us that we're on the right track. Abdullahi Adamu resigned by himself. He will have decided to go to the court.
Purportedly. Someone say he was pushed.
And the Omishoro resigned. So we have so much confidence in the leadership of the country, of the party, which is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to be able to, discuss with the other party stakeholders, merge their interests and emerge with and come up with a recommendation of the person that can best pilot the affairs of our party at this critical point in time, because we need the party to key in with the direction of the president of the country for us to provide stability and the mileage, to achieve the mileage we envisage.
All right. So initially, the expectation was that Tinubu will unveil his ministers in the first 10 days, going by how high, the political environment, rated him, that maybe in the first 10 days. Now, he's approaching 60 days because he's over 50 days in power. Are you worried that he's unable to submit list of his ministers to the National Assembly till this time that we're holding this program?
Well, I'm not worried at all, because I know behind the scene there are so many strategies that is going on in order to provide the good and the well people that are going to mind the affairs of the, governance of this country. So credibility have to be the order of the day. Rushing to bring people that may not, we talk about loyalty here before. And people have to be filtered, So it's not all about rushing to bring people that don't have the party at heart. Like we in APC Initiative for Good Governance, we are an advocate of good governance, and we stand firmly by the principle, policy, and philosophies of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So we are believing that all the necessary things are taking place behind the scene in order to bring the most credible hands, people who are 100% loyal to the party, and they have the nationalistic zeal to offer what is going to be of benefits to the country. And as Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu have the youth at heart. And maybe if the list they are projecting is not, friendly to the youth friendly, something have to be done in order to,
carry them along,
including women. So I think maybe, perhaps, that could be what is delaying. But I believe, I'm of the opinion that this is not something that, there are people that are very desperate about this issue of ministerial. They are just thinking of what to get. They are not thinking of adding value to the system.
So, is it not an indictment on Tinubu and those around him, taking this long to come up with list of ministers?
No, Gamza is not an indictment.
Then what is it if not an indictment? Because I know that immediately after the election, his spokesman, he was asked, he said, they see the list coming out in a month's time. There was this aura of confidence that we are well prepared for this.
But we are still within 1 month.
No. We're approaching 2 months now. It's over about 53 days now.
Not yet up to 2 months.
How many days now?
We have about 21 days, so how about 9 days left? So we have about 59 days, so how about 9 days?
You are using politics to calculate the days, and it's like you are approaching the...
We have about 9 days left, 10 days left.
You see, Malams, that the most important thing is for the needful to be done. We are credible, loyal party members who bring on board, who come on board. And the most credible people.
As opposed to competence, are you saying?
Very competent and loyal party members.
Okay.
And we wouldn't mind a situation where somebody that have something to offer greatly to lead this country to greatness.
Yeah.
1 or 2 people are picked out of the APC system.
That is where I'm heading to, because you've been emphasizing issue of people who will be loyal, people who sacrifice for the party, people who have it in their hearts. But if you look at the body language of
Mr. President.
Mr. President. It's like he's going to bring, I don't want to say aliens, but people that he believes will deliver. Maybe technocrats and all that. You, the youths in the party who have been there for years, do you subscribe to that? Him bringing technocrats from outside, maybe picking 4 or 5 from the APC to run the government.
Okay, you know, if you have, for some of us that are disciples of Asiwaju, you know, we have followed his antecedent for a very long time, and we know the kind of leader we have, and we're very happy for the kind of leader we have at this very point in time. Asiwaju did not stumble onto presidency.
Viewers, as promised, the telephone line will be open tonight so that you will call in and share your thoughts with us on how you think this issue of subsidy removal, how it will be addressed, how Nigerians will benefit from all what the leaders are saying. You know, the situation in the country is so tough that people are finding it very, very difficult to cope. But before then, amidst the current realities shaped by the fuel subsidy removal, motor parks nationwide are witnessing a notable decline in passenger patronage. Trust TV took a closer look at the Jabi Motor Park in the nation's capital, Abuja, where union members revealed that the recent fuel price hike has compelled them to raise transport fares as they find it very difficult to cope with the high cost of petroleum. Take a look.
The Jabi Motor Park is usually a beehive of activities with passengers coming to board vehicles for long-distance travels. But the recent fuel price hike has changed all that. The park is looking empty as few passengers who can afford the fares are seen waiting for the vehicles they are boarding to get the required number of persons to begin the journey. Taiwo Oshobu is the chairman of Bus Long Journey, bus unit and the park, and he speaks on the low passenger traffic.
From 5:40 to 6:17 now, it's totally out of hand. No passenger. One motor can position for 3 days, no passengers. No passenger. For 3 days, no passengers. From here to Lagos, I think we are carrying 19,200 naira. Before the subsidy, we carry 15,000. After the subsidy, we carry 19,200 naira. Since it came to 617, we have not even increased.
However, passengers also have this to say concerning the low passenger traffic since the increment of fuel price.
Before, by this time, people will have been here, be traveling, but because of this increment of petrol, nobody wants to travel. If not because I came to Abuja to do some important thing, I won't come. Me too, I won't bother myself to travel because I know it will cost me a lot.
The cost of transportation will definitely reduce. People will now consider, instead of them traveling regularly, someone that is traveling every week, the person might decide to extend it for 2 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so it depends.
Small business owners at the park are also lamenting low patronage owing the low activities.
That don't affect my market. You see me for shop, I sit down for shop. If you say like before, I'm busy. I don't have time to stay one place.
Well, thank God. I won't say I don't make more sales as I used to, but honestly, before now, I make more sales. Transport fares were doubled when the fuel subsidy was removed, but the second bomb price hike may further change the dynamics at this motor park. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Mr. Jamilu, you've seen what's happening, out there, and you've had the conversation at the National Economic Council meeting. Let's start with what the leaders said. Cash transfer. They said we should abandon the register used for almost 8 years, right? Saying a lot of questions on that register. Are you with them? I mean, the new sheriffs in town now.
Well, I think there are two issues there. Number one, whether the register inherited from the Buhari administration will be used or not. There has been, or there have been a lot of questions or question marks on the authenticity of that register. So I think, I don't know if what the National Economic Council was saying is that suspend this register, then while we implement our emergency programs,
yes,
then later on possibly we would have time to revisit the issue of the register. Otherwise, I think government spent a lot of money in trying to assemble, collect that register and produce that register. So I think it would be a kind of dishonor to the Nigerian people to say that, okay, discard that register totally, because a lot of resources have gone in, except if we are saying, okay, that register does not exist. So in that case, we should ask those who claim to have produced the register, where are the resources you used in producing those registers? You should answer Nigerians.
Yes.
So that is one aspect of the issue. The other aspect of the issue is the cash transfers. They say they would themselves do. Now, it is a kind of questioning the capacity of the federal government itself.
Okay. Okay, this is how we are looking at it.
Yes, that's how I've seen it.
Maybe the governors don't really,
trust the federal government structure in deploying this program. So they think, because most of this, in fact, almost all these NSIP programs,
that's National Social Investment Programs,
are being deployed together in consonant with what the state governors or the state governments are doing themselves. The federal government normally consult with the state governments. State governments now provide some of the memberships of or the beneficiaries, and then they also tell the federal government that this is how we want you to deploy this. In the past, that was what was being done. So now for this National Economic Council and the governors to come out and say, no, we don't want the intervention of the federal government, we want to do it ourselves. I think it is a kind of questioning the capacity of the federal government in deploying that. Possibly they would have to do it themselves. There's a lot of, there are some politics in it, in saying that one state government is a PDP state, the other
one is
SDP,
the other one Labour Party,
so this kind
and
of
whatever.
issues also would prompt them into saying, okay, let us deploy the programs ourselves.
All right. Then viewers, what are your thoughts on all this? Call the number displayed on the screen to share them with us. However, we kindly request that you keep your contributions short and refrain from making any inciting or derogatory remarks. So we expect your call to tell us how you think this should go. Yes, Jamilu, I agree with you to a greater extent, the lack of this trust between the federal government and the state governments. But you know, you had Soludo also saying there are peculiarities even among states. But the fear, which I'm sure maybe some of our callers will raise, is that will the state governors do the needful also to actually transfer this money to the right people, going by previous experiences? Look at the bailout given to them during Buhari.
Yes.
Many governors actually
failed. Yes, that is a very serious issue. It's good you have mentioned the bailout. The bailout was poorly deployed, poorly handled. I know some of the states, there were a lot of questions about that. I think that is the same question mark the federal government is putting on the state governments about its own capacity to deploy such programs. This is one of the issues raised about state police. Most people are not very trusting of what the state governments would use. Once you have the resources, or once you have a kind of authority with the state governments,